Freedom to me means not having a lot of other things to think about than the moment you're in. And when we're free, we have choices as to what we want to do. And people have different things that they like to do, whether it's fishing or climbing rocks or racing motorcycles, whatever puts them in a space where they actually feel free. And so I guess for me, freedom is about flying my hang glider most of the time.
Free is going into the mountains, free is going into the sky. Freedom's that last touch on the earth, and you're free. You're in the zone and the world disappears. You will never have a thought about a bank account or a job or any of those things. You're forced into the moment.
My grandfather lived just across the road here, and he had the farm here. This was all his property at one time. He was a pioneer here in 1908, and he kept telling me as a little boy about this dream, this reoccurring dream that he had about flying around this valley with just his arms out, basically body soaring. And it was a reoccurring dream, and he kept telling me, yeah, I had that dream again last night. I was flying around this valley, looking down. It was a beautiful thing. And so as a young boy, I tried it. I tried jumping out of the barns a bunch of times with my umbrella, but it didn't quite do it for me. But as soon as we got in the hang glider, I knew what my grandfather was thinking about and what he was dreaming about. My mom and dad were coming in from Sugar Lake, actually, where we had a home there. And my mom was pregnant with me, and they stopped here for lunch on a Saturday afternoon, July the 23rd, and it was at that lunch that they made the deal to buy this property. So that was the day on the way to the hospital, and I was born at 7:45 that night, so it's always seemed like a birthday present for me, this property. It's been hard for me to leave it or to be separated from it. So when my parents passed on, I worked out a deal with my sisters, and now this is a Freedom Flight Park.
I absolutely assure you, without Randy, none of us would be sitting here today. We might be flyers, but not at the Lumby Flight Park and not hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of flights. I got 3 more flights to 500, right? And so he's taken me from fledgling to flying the fastest wing in the world.
I was on my way to being a commercial pilot at the time that I discovered hang gliding, actually, and I thought I would just have a little blip on the road, and because it was flying, I would try it out.
When Randy was a young man, he had an accident over here, and he ended up in the hospital. Randy's rock. Failed a safety check. Ended up in the hospital for 3 days, and he thought, either I stop flying or I start a school, so this never happens to anybody else.
The biggest concern in hang gliders is always the pilot. And so the pilot has to be trained how to, inspect their gliders and make sure that they're safe and sound. And same with any flying equipment, it all has to be inspected. And so the inspector is the pilot in hang gliding. And likewise, when it comes to learning how to fly, the pilot has got to be trained properly so that if they do get into trouble, they don't have to think about what to do next, they automatically do it.
Seeing our buddies get hurt at it, this thing starts to feel selfish. I look at my family and my friends, and it feels selfish. And so we make it as safe as possible. And anybody that is our family and friends, they know who we are, and they honor us with this freedom, but at the same time, don't be stupid. And safety. Safety means we can carry this thing on for a really long time, and maybe it's bad luck, but it isn't because you made a bad decision, right? So. This is a community. This is a community of like-minded people. Sometimes crazy like-minded people, right?
It all comes together in a flying community and a flying culture, and so that's, a lot of it is about the culture of flying. The people come here, they talk flying, and so it's easy for them to learn here, because from the time they pull up in the morning till the time they leave in the evening, it's all about talking flying and learning about flying, and we call it full immersion. When people want to learn something, the best way is to learn in full immersion.
All I could think about was flying and you. We went up the mountain, then we set up our wings. We ran off the edge and we were flying again.
Trial and error is the worst way you can learn stuff. You know, I always say to people, who's your mentor, whether you're in business or what you're doing? If you don't have a mentor, you're doing this trial and error. And that's not the way to do this. That's not the way to do it in business. And that mentor, he likes to share with you. And man, you get to skip all the bumpy parts. Eh?
We've got the mountains, we've got the light winds typically, and we've got the thermals that go up really high. So Lumby's a very magical kind of an area, in this particular valley that my grandfather found as a pioneer. Happens to have two great flying sites on either side of it, and it just so happens that our farm is situated right in the middle of these two flying sites. I mean, we call it synchrodestiny sometimes when the things just work out the way they're supposed to. So yeah, keeping the farm and the flight park seem to make sense because it's just the way things happen.
You know, everyone that comes here feels free. And we're grateful for that.